Hey there, real quick before we get into the episode, I just want to ask you a huge favor. As you know, this podcast isn't monetized, and I really hope to keep it that way. And so, what would really be awesome is if you did me the favor of passing it forward, paying it forward. Hit that share button if you want to share this particular episode, or share the entire podcast. Post it on your stories or in your social media, or share it directly with any individual that you might think would appreciate and enjoy this content. I really want to continue giving you value for free, sharing this information with you, because my mission is to help you on your journeys, right? And as I said, if you're finding this stuff helpful, chances are there's somebody else out there that will. So again, do me a quick favor, hit that share button, and let's get this message out. All right, on with the show. Media. I needed income because I was broke. I was making minimum wage as a movie theater usher back in those days, $6.75 an hour. And so I needed money, right? That was a major external motivator because it was a major pain point. Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefine Podcast. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to talk about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Really, your why. That's what we're going to get down to. We're going to get down to your why. It's always an important topic. We've heard all the experts and the gurus and the mentors of the world, whether it's personal development and self-help or business or entrepreneurism, mindset. Everybody always talks about the why. It's a very it's a topic that's visited quite often. I've talked about this topic quite often in my career, and I will continue to talk about this topic. I think it's an important one because it's what pushes us, right? It's what drives us. Your why is the thing that moves you to doing the things that you normally wouldn't do, right? Like doing new things and wearing new hats. It also pushes you through adversity and challenges that you will ultimately inevitably face when you're going after a new goal. And that's with any kind of goal, whether it's health, relationships, finances, business. If you set a new goal for yourself, you're going to have to do new things, and you will ultimately face challenges and adversities. And so you have to have a strong why. You have to have strong motivators to push you through to attain if you want to attain those goals, right? Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, I do want to let you know, if you're listening to this right now and you hear some background noises, it sounds like a really loud vent or fan, or like the water is running in the background. It's none of those things. It's actually the wind. If you're watching this video, you'll see that I am back home at my cabin. The problem is, this time of year we get high winds. And it's one of those days. And it's not just like a gust or two every few minutes. It's a constant high wind that's just blowing nonstop. And so that's what's going on right now outside. It's actually, honestly, enough to drive a person crazy. Like, some days I feel like when we get weather like this, I feel like, what is going on? Like, I am going absolutely batshit with this wind just constantly blowing. That's a whole nother aside. I should probably talk to an expert about that. But anyways, my point is, if you hear the background noise, I apologize. in advance for any inconvenience it might cause. I'll do my best to filter it out, but yeah, it's really tough in these conditions sometimes. And I wanted to get this recorded because it has to be released. It has to be released. The other thing too, kind of a housekeeping, is that there will not be a second episode this week. We're only doing one episode release because it is Thanksgiving week here in the United States. That falls on a Thursday. And so, yeah, our normal schedule is Tuesdays and Thursdays, but given that it is Thanksgiving week here in the US, we will not have an episode on Thursday. So today is what you'll get. And then we'll restart normal programming next week, Tuesday, Thursday. But for this week, Tuesday only. Okay, so back to it. We're going to talk about your why and the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic. And that's really, yeah, tongue twister. So I might just say internal and external motivation. All right, intrinsic, extrinsic. Those aren't words that we use a lot or that we hear a lot. So they're a little bit of a tongue twister for me. External motivation. Let's start with that. What that looks like, and ultimately, when people over the years, as I've worked on helping them find their why and getting connected with their why, they initially start off with communicating and sharing external motivators. For example, for me, when I first got started in network marketing early in my career, I was driven by, income, right? I needed income because I was broke. I was making minimum wage as a movie theater usher back in those days, $6.75 an hour. And so I needed money, right? That was a major external motivator because it was a major pain point in my life, right? To be able to afford better food and not just have to pay for and eat the dollar menu at the fast food place, to be able to actually fill up my car with gas and not just put a quarter tank every time because I didn't have enough money, things like that. These external motivators were really high on my list, to be able to afford a nicer house, to, put those things on my dream board, like a mansion and a fancy car, a luxury vehicle or a Porsche. Like Porsche was always one of my big things on my dream board, right? Traveling the world, seeing all the great monuments around the world, things like that, right? I was definitely communicating my drive and my goals from an external standpoint. Those were the external things that were pushing me, and those are all well and good, right? Like I said, this is not a conversation between external motivators are right and internal motivation is wrong, or vice versa, right? It's not a wrong or right conversation. It's really about helping you get to that point where you have both, and both of those things are driving you to do the things that you need to do to achieve those goals, right? So those external motivators, right? Whether it's moving away from discomfort or moving towards a better life, those external things were really driving me, right? So those were my extrinsic motivators. Now, when people have communicated these external motivators to me in the past as their why, the thing that I look at, especially if there's enough time, if I'm coaching or mentoring somebody, and let's say in their first year they communicated these extrinsic motivators to me, and then 12 months, 24 months down the road, we re-examine and we look at not only the results that they've gotten, have they gotten closer towards their goals, but we also, if the answer is no, we look at, well, what have you been doing over the last 12 months, over the last 24 months? Have you been consistently working at your goals, right? Have you been consistently doing the things you need to do to grow, to get a step closer to your goal every day? If the answer is no, then those extrinsic motivators, those external things, aren't strong enough, right? They're not strong enough. They're not enough. They haven't been enough to push you to doing the things you need to do to achieve those goals. And one of the prime examples of this, and I'm not knocking this as a why, because it's a great why, but one of the biggest examples I've seen of this over the years is when I've asked people, especially people that are new to this journey of personal growth and mindset and entrepreneurism, when I ask them and I hear somebody say, well, I one of my whys is because I want to help people. Now that's awesome. Again, that's a great external motivator. However, is that really something that's going to push you, right? Like what is driving you, to go out and help others, right? What are you getting out of this situation, right? If you just blankly just pick that from a menu of whys, and you're like, well, that sounds good. Let me do that because that kind of connects with me a little bit, but it's not strong enough. Then it's not going to do you any good to say that or to even choose that as a why, right? And mind you, we get to choose, right? We get to choose. If it's something strong enough for you, though, like helping people, right? We're continuing with that example. It has to have something intrinsic to you, right? That extrinsic motivation of helping people, right? And like that has to have something intrinsic to you. You have to get something out of it, right? And that's strong enough for you, that you're emotionally connected enough to, for you to actually do the things that you need to do without necessarily immediate or even long-term reward. Right. All right. Like, again, helping people is great, and having that as your why, as your motivation is awesome. But what does it mean to you? Does it mean impact? Does it mean legacy, fulfillment, purpose? All those things are kind of that deeper level of that particular external goal or extrinsic motivator. So this is where this all lies, and this is the dynamic that you have to examine when visiting your why or revisiting your why, right? Like, we should revisit your why on a regular basis. It's one of those things. It has to have a deeper layer. Like, for me, again, it was earlier in my career. It was financial gain. It was the ability to have more flexibility of where I want to live, or even putting a full tank of gas in my car, or eating where I want to eat, right? Eating better food. That was the external. The internal is, well, it's peace of mind. It's stability. It's not being stressed financially, right? It's all those internal things that I knew would come along, and that's really what pushed me, right? The internal is what pushed me, and the external is kind of the vision, excuse me, of what I was being drawn to. Being drawn towards those things, as opposed to, or wanting to move away from the discomfort, right? All right. So important layers. Again, if you have identified a why, and it's been a few years, and you're still not getting results, then that why isn't really strong enough, right? That extrinsic motivator, there's not a layer of intrinsic motivation underneath it, right? You have to have a really deeper emotional attachment to that external motivator. Otherwise, you're not gonna get up and do every day and do the difficult things that you need to do to attain those goals, right? So you have to have a strong why. And your strong why is built up and made up of an extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, right? Motivators. It's those things that drive you, and you really got to get connected to it, right? You really got to get connected to it. If you happen to be a little lost right now as far as what your why is, that's okay. Again, that's why it's important to revisit this topic and revisit your why periodically, so that you can get recentered, reconnected to it, or even change it and grow it. Right? We're all growing. We're all getting older. We are traveling through this journey of life, and so our motivations change. So you have to revisit your why every day. I mean, even for me, like my why early in my career is not my why right now. It's grown and it's changed, right? So you have to revisit it. And one thing is that if you're lost, a great practice is gratitude, right? I mentioned earlier it is Thanksgiving week here in the United States, and one of the best practices you can include in your personal development, or even in your meditation or your prayer, is naming the things in your life that you're thankful for, right? All right. And it's a great reminder that there are number one, there are so many things that you can be grateful for, but it's also a great reminder of the things that you love about your life. Sometimes we can be distracted by, drama in our lives, by drama with our colleagues and coworkers, drama with our family members, drama in the news, right? Like all this stuff happening is so distracting, and it makes us, really, we lose sight of that that there is just as much, if not more, beauty in our lives that we can be grateful for, right? Like having a gratitude practice is really important, and it creates such a healthy mindset for yourself. On top of that, to tie it into our conversation about the why today, is that I think it was Jensen Chero that I heard this from first, but she was like, "Well, if you don't know what your why is, if you don't know what your motivation is, and just look at what you have in your life right now that you're really thankful for, right? What are the things that you love the most in your life and that you're grateful for? Chances are the thing that's going to motivate you and the thing that's going to be your why is to have more of those things." Right. So whether or not you have a why right now, if you already have a why, and you need to revisit and adjust it, like right now is a great time of year as we're coming into the holidays. No matter what holidays you celebrate, it's a holiday season, right? Right. So expressing gratitude and re-examining your life and remembering those things that you're grateful for is a great foundation for you to either create a new why or rebuild, and readjust your existing why, and having the things, and well, knowing the things that you're grateful for and that you love the most in your life, you can really use that as your extrinsic and intrinsic motivator to get more of it. For me, it is really like, yes, I love the trappings and the financial rewards of this business. I love the ability to that I've had over the years to travel and see all the things. I love being able to still continue to take care of my mom, financially, to make sure that she doesn't have anything to worry about, and also to treat her to things, whether that's travel or even just going out to see a movie. She doesn't really like movies, but you guys know what I mean. I'm just naming off all these kind of external motivators, but intrinsically, it's those things. Knowing that I can do those things and knowing that I'm going after those things, it gives me a sense of purpose, right? It gives me a sense of fulfillment. It gives me a sense of direction. It gives me a sense of impact, right? And these are things, honestly, that I lost touch of, for a little bit there after my dad died. Not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, and what direction I really wanted to go. Did I want to get back into marketing? Did I want to get back into this podcast? Did I want to get back into network marketing, or maybe I just wanted to retire and just live quietly up here on the mountain, not knowing, and not having that extrinsic and intrinsic, layers of motivation. I think that depressed me as much as as the loss of my dad, right, because I was wandering aimlessly and I didn't have a purpose, right? I wasn't making an impact, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled because I didn't have direction. So having these things, having a why, will give you really all of that, and the things to look at are both those two layers, right? The extrinsic, the external thing, the external goal, the external motivator that's driving you, and that you're going after, and then the layer beneath that is what is that emotional connection to it, right? What is that? What are you going to get out of it, whether it's emotion or whatever? What do you get out of achieving those things, right? And if you examine your goals and your why, at that level, then I think you're going to really have a strong drive towards achieving the things that you want to achieving the goals that you set out for yourself, and doing the day-to-day kind of difficult things that we all have to face on this journey, right? All right. So that's the conversation. What's your why? Revisit your why on a regular basis. Look at it from an extrinsic and intrinsic layer, and make sure that those things are strong enough to push you to do the things that are difficult, to face the challenges and adversities, and to become something new that you've never done before, you've never been before. So, all right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Again, there will be no show on Thursday because it is Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I will catch you again next Tuesday with a fresh new episode. So until then, be well, be safe, and go towards goodness.